And a good spiritual morning to you once again. It's Father Cosmas. Thanks for joining me today for a quick chat. And of course, our morning cup of coffee. And today, it's a big feast day in the life of our church. It's more of a solemn day. It's August 29th. And so we remember the beheading of St. John the Baptist. And of course, there's liturgy this morning. This is pre-recorded. I'm not up at 5 in the morning doing this. But today we remember St. John, and we remember specifically his beheading. And so it is a strict fast day. It's more of a solemn day. And we remember the story. And we're thinking about the story about Herod and him being sort of called out by St. John because he's taken his brother's wife, Herodias, right? And so he's living this sort of impure, sinful life. He was already married, and he decides, I'm going to put away her. I don't want her. I want my brother's wife. And because he's the king, he literally just says, okay, takes his sister-in-law, basically, to be his wife. And St. John the Baptist is calling him out on that, saying that's not right. You can't do that. And so, of course, he wants to kill him, but he's afraid of the people because the people know and believe St. John to be a prophet. So he throws him in prison, and he's just kind of leaving him there. And then there comes this occasion, as we all know, where Herodias' daughter, Salome, dances, right, for the king. And he promises to give her anything she wants, up to half of his kingdom. And she pleases him so well by dancing that when it comes time for the request, she goes and asks her mother, what should I ask for? And the mother says, ask for the head of St. John the Baptist. And so, of course, because the king has given his word and made an oath in front of his guests, and he doesn't want to go back on that, he has St. John beheaded and gives his head on a platter to the dancing girl, and she gives it to her mother. Yes, it's a horrifying and gruesome story. And but what I wanted to focus on was this idea that, we're living at a time where I think this is an appropriate story to think about. Well, why do I think about that? Well, what's motivating Herod? Yes, his false sense of pride. Yes, wanting to keep his word. But ultimately, what's motivating him in doing what he's doing? From taking Herodias as his wife to being pleased, whatever that means, being pleased by the dancing of Salome. He's being driven by his lust, right? And we're living at a time where a lot of people right now are being tempted to be driven by lust. Pornography right now is an epidemic, and it's reaching epidemic proportions if it hasn't already, right? It is so ubiquitous. It is everywhere. The accessibility is making it one of the most challenging spiritual issues and sins of our time. And no one's talking about it. It's just happening. I remember being a kid, and maybe you would see inadvertently like a Playboy magazine or something. I don't know how. A friend had it, a relative had it, someone's dad had it. Maybe, kids would talk about it. You never even saw it. It was like this urban legend you heard about. But the exposure to anything was nothing because you couldn't access anything. Now you have a device, most kids, in the palm of their hand, a smartphone, you have a tablet, you have a laptop, you have a computer. You have all these devices that allow you to access videos 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. A teenage boy now can look at more beautiful women in inappropriate ways than the greatest king in history. I mean, if you think about it. And so it's crazy, and it's a real temptation. And it can make us do terrible things. It can really sort of overcome and dominate our spiritual life. And we have to be very careful and very sensitive to that. And we have to take steps to realize this is not a good thing, because society is saying, well, it's normal. Yeah, this is what people do, especially of a certain age. Just within limits. Well, that's the thing. You don't tell somebody, you know what? Yes, you can do crack cocaine, but just within limits. You can shoot up heroin, but set some limits for yourself. Just 20 minutes a day, and the rest of your life will be fine. Well, no, these things destroy your life, and pornography is the same. It's insidious because it completely sort of disrupts our spiritual health. It puts images in our heads that don't go away. They're there. And they're used against us at the most inopportune time. And they're constantly there. And it colors our view of relationships and sexuality and marriage and all sorts of things. And also there's lots of, sort of an impetus to be able to go out and to strike out into the world and to find a spouse and to have a relationship, because those drives are pushing us towards that, right? Those drives are there instinctually to push us toward procreation, to push us towards having a relationship. But now those drives are being met already. So what is the drive to go out and find a wife and have children? And you don't have to do that if you're satisfying those things whenever you want to, in the comfort of your own home, at your convenience. And that's horrifying. And these are things we have to start talking about. And we have to make sure we're not trying to set limits because that's all normal. No, it's not. It's not normal. It's not healthy in any way, shape, or form. A Christian, an Orthodox Christian, does not use pornography, period, under any circumstances for a single second. We don't look at images that are inappropriate ever. And that's something that we have to sort of regain a mentality and not be laughing about and saying, well, yeah, sort of tongue-in-cheek, we know this is happening, it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. It's ruining marriages, it's ruining relationships, it's ruining people's spiritual lives. We have to stop it. And we have to see the horrifying results of it. And whenever you're questioning it, just remember the story from today. Just remember what Herod does. Just remember the horrifying result of St. John the Baptist being beheaded because of one man's lust. And just how we have to recognize to keep those things under control and to make sure that we're keeping ourselves pure and holy as Christians, and that we're trying to do that each and every day. Amen.